Raider Nation, all I want for Christmas is for you to subscribe to the Las Vegas Raiders Report. We are closing in on 70,000 subscribers. Now, if you're a diehard fan, if you bleed silver and black, and you always find yourself looking for the latest Raiders news and rumors, we got you covered here. Normally, our mailbag questions are featured during our Tuesday live show. I get it. 2020 is a crazy year, and not everyone can join the live show. So I gave you all an opportunity for the loyal subscribers to submit their questions, and we picked our favorites, and they're coming up right now. Arto, God bless you for a last name. Wade Phillips is the number one priority in the offseason. What are your thoughts? I don't know if Wade Phillips in particular is the number one priority, but definitely being able to find a defensive coordinator that can figure out what the heck is going on with this Las Vegas Raiders defense. Anytime you're going up over 30 points every single game, it does not matter who your quarterback is. It doesn't matter who your offensive players are, but you do need to find a defensive coordinator that can figure it out because the players you drafted can't get it done. You're paying all these guys big-time money in free agency to come over. They stink. We need to figure it out. Defense, that's the priority. I will say this, though. Wade Phillips would be a good hire. I know he's 73 years old, but he's a young 73, and I do truly believe that. Plus, I also want somebody that wants to coach the Raiders. Wade Phillips has already verbally said that, yes, I would be interested in that job. Those are the types of people that I want. So, Ardo, man, I love your question. I definitely appreciate it. Let's go to the next one here because it kind of ties in. Silver and Black Attack. Lovie Smith would make a great defensive coordinator. I'll tell you this. Lovie Smith would make a great Santa Claus because he is repping one heck of a beard right now. But, hey, we just talked about Wade Phillips. We're going to talk about Lovie Smith. Who would be the better defensive coordinator? If you're like Mitch, I think it's Wade Phillips, type WP. I think it's Lovie Smith, type LS. I'll say this. It's Wade Phillips. No offense to Lovie. I know Gruden likes these old-time guys, but he was terrible at Illinois. And he really wasn't all that good at the end of his runs with Chicago. So I'm going to go Wade Phillips over Lovie Smith. If you guys disagree with me, again, please go down in the comments and let me know. That's what the Raiders Report's all about. This next question coming in from Raider Nation for life. Okay, you got me there. You got me. Do you think that the Raiders will get Richard Sherman? So, I understand that Richard Sherman's going to be a free agent, and he is probably one of the top cornerback free agents, if you will, on the list. However, if you go out and you sign Richard Sherman, that kind of means that you're taking an L on either Damon Arnette or Trayvon Mullen. Mullen, to me, even though he's coming off probably his worst game of his entire career, he's still your top cornerback. Yes, he got a little bit exposed, but I'll also say ever since the injury that he had against the Broncos, he hasn't quite been 100%, and maybe that's why you're seeing him get picked on a little bit. In terms of Damon Arnette, you drafted him in the first round, so by going out and bringing in Sherman, which I would like for a guy like Arnette to learn behind Sherman and Mullen, I just don't think that's the way the Raiders are going to go. You see them going with this youth movement. Gruden signed a long-term contract. You know what that means? He can build from the ground up. Going out and getting a vet like Richard, putting him on this young team is not something that I think the Raiders do. So, are the Raiders going to go out and get Richard Sherman? I'm probably going to end up giving it like 0 chalky heads. It might be like 1 chalky head at this point. I would be astonished. I'll be honest with you. If they do go out and sign him, we're going to be going live. That one's 4 chalky heads. Believe it, baby. All right, this next question's coming in from Chris Holmes. Get a picture. Biggest impact defensive player in free agency. I am going to answer this who should be the top priority for the Raiders because there's a lot of skill positions. However, I don't care about a lot of the other teams. I want to know which players can honestly help the Raiders out, and it's Justin Simmons. For me, Justin Simmons is in a clear tier of his own. What's been one of the biggest issues for this defense, not just this year, for like 3 years at this point, is finding a safety that you can rely on. And Simmons also knows the AFC West best. He is a ball hawk. He can do it all. But there's going to be a conversation that needs to be had with Jonathan Abram. Abram right now is rated as the worst safety in football. 89 out of 89 according to PFF. Does he play strong safety? Yes. But I'm actually curious to see if the Raiders potentially, with a new defensive scheme, shift Abram, who's great in the run game and who's great in, hitting people. There's no doubt about that. But maybe instead of him being a strong safety, you move him up to be a linebacker. All right, y'all, we got a special deal going on. So if you want a Derek Carr jersey like this one or like the one I'm wearing, chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys for jerseys under $100. Now, the top-selling jersey over the past week for Raider fans has been a Marcus Mariota jersey. So if y'all want a Mariota jersey right now, you got to get them, and you got to get them right now because they are going super quick. These are, again, under $100. I'm going to put this link that you see on screen, chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. It's going to go in the comments. It's going to go in the description, but we literally have hundreds of jerseys. If you have any questions on how to get hooked up, I can always get you set up. Hit me up on IG at MitchellRentz365. Let's go to Sean. Do we move on from Lamarcus Joyner, or do we move him to safety to fill that need? I think we've all seen for a long time the Raiders have a need at safety, and I'm a little bit curious why Lamarcus hasn't been playing safety a little bit more. No offense to Eric Harris. No offense to Daniel Levitt. I really find it hard to believe that those two players are better than a Demarius Randall, a guy that you signed in free agency, then you let him go. I also find it hard to believe that a guy like Prince Amukamara was worse than what we're dealing with right now on defense. However, it just does not seem like John Gruden and this defense wants to put Lamarcus back at safety. If it was up to me, I would do it. And if Wade Phillips gets hired as a defensive coordinator, you know what? It would not surprise me whatsoever if they do try to put Lamarcus Joyner back there at safety. And if you wanted to pair him up with a Justin Simmons or a player in the draft that we're about to talk about, yeah, I'd be full steam ahead. So should the Raiders keep or cut Lamarcus, type K for keep, type C for cut? The only way that I'm going to say K for keep is if, with the idea that you brought up, potentially moving him back to safety a little bit more, because that's when he was actually good. Or cut him. I'm going to end up potentially cutting Lamarcus because, well, you can save quite a bit of money. In fact, it's like $8.7 million. So K for keep or C for cut. Fresh Record could not have gotten this one across Twitter. You definitely took advantage of the character limits here. Joyner, Littleton, Brown, and Williams for fat contracts for underperforming or mostly absent players. First, what do you think Mayock should do? Next, what do you think we will do? Thanks, Mitch. Best Raiders channel by far. Well, Fresh Record, I appreciate the comments at the end. I actually think Mike Mayock needs to do a better job or get in John Gruden's ear a little bit. I like the idea of being able to go out and get versatile players. I also like the idea of going out and getting Gruden grinders or players that fit what they're trying to do. And then that's what the Raiders have been trying to do in free agency, and that's what they've been trying to do in the draft. But sometimes, y'all, he's got to take the most talented dude. And sometimes, even though he might be a little bit of a head case, he's really good at football, and that's really what's going to help us win games. So that's the first thing that I think Mayock needs to do. But, yes, you bring up some fat contracts. The first one that we're going to talk about is going to be Trent Brown. Brown is no doubt one of the best right tackles in all of football, one of the best tackles in the league. However, do you keep him? Or do you cut him? You can save $14 million. It's $14 million. I rounded up because of a workout bonus. So either you keep him or you can cut him, say $14 million. Think about what you can do with $14 million on that defensive side of the football. When he's out there, he's great. The issue is he just ain't out there very often. How about Tyrell Williams? You cut him, you save $11.6 million. I'm a big believer that one of the biggest reasons why they went out and drafted Bryan Edwards was to replace Tyrell. However, Bryan Edwards is out there liking tweets of him not being used correctly. He's a little bit frustrated. The Raiders aren't using him, so could you bring him back? I think that you move on from Tyrell. We'll see what happens with Trent Brown, but he's another player where if they got rid of him, I honestly wouldn't care. If they kept him, cool. He definitely helps us out. And then in terms of Corey Littleton, you cut Corey Littleton because they restructured his contract. It's going to cost you $19.75 million. You're not going to do that. Corey Littleton is a Raider for the next this season and then the next two because of the way that they did his contract. Let's go to Michael. What up, my man? Should the Raiders grab a DT or a free safety in the first round of the draft? It's a good question. Defense is definitely a top need. There's a lot of other players that you could potentially look at. This one ultimately comes down to where the Raiders are going to be picking. If they're, we'll say, in the middle teens, I think defensive linemen like Gregory Rousseau, I know he's an edge rusher out of Miami. I really like him. He's actually my top defensive lineman. However, my top defensive tackle right now is Kwity Paye. However, he's a hard prospect for me to wrap my mind around because you look at him, 6'4", 275 pounds. He's got all the tools, all the raw tools. But I am also a believer in production, and he was never really to get all this outstanding production at Michigan. Could a potential guy like Rod Marinelli or some other defensive guys get the best out of him? Sure. But if the Raiders are like 15, 16, 17, 18, Kwity Paye could be a guy. Now, if they're a little bit later on, I love this guy out of Oregon, Javon Holland, and he's the top safety. I understand that safety, for some reason in the NFL right now, on defense is kind of like the running back position where you see a lot of teams pass on safeties, and I don't quite get it. If I'm Gruden, if I'm Mayock, I am looking at the top safeties in this class, and if Holland is on the board, I think you got to take him for what he's able to bring in that secondary, because we're all sick and tired of watching this Raiders team give up these 40-yard bombs down the field because nobody can cover. Guess what? You got to be able to cover in the NFL. Get yourself a safety. Javon Holland is a guy that I absolutely love. So go down in the comments and let me know. Who should the Raiders draft? Go on down. Scroll on down. You see the comment section? Let me know. Who should the Raiders draft in this upcoming year? All right, we got Real Steve Daly. Oh, boy. What do you think is our biggest offensive need? Quarterback. No, I'm kidding. Let's get riled up here. Somebody's going to cut that and put it on Twitter. I can't wait. I'm thinking offensive line and wide receiver. I would believe that those are our two biggest needs, because what do you do with Trent Brown at right tackle? If you get rid of him, right tackle's a major need. Gabe Jackson making $9.6 million. Do you keep him or move on? That's another. That would turn into a major need. And then even Richie Incognito. If you move on from Incognito, you save $6.5. When he's out there, he's great. But if you move on from those three players, offensive line turns into a major, major need. And then wide receiver. Henry Ruggs still can get it together. Look at Cliff Branch, his first 2 seasons. It was like 27 catches, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but I'll also say this. I don't know if Henry Ruggs is ever going to be a true number one. He can be a field stretcher, but if you're still looking for a number one receiver, then maybe wide receiver is another big need. Let's go to Darren Diaz. Get a picture. And if you want to make it double D, hey, I love me some double D. I really want JUJU Smith Schuster for some odd reason. He looks really good and humble. I don't really know if any player in the NFL is truly, truly humble. Maybe A.J. Green, but I'm going to pass on JUJU. And again, he's another big-name receiver. He would probably fit with what the Raiders are trying to do, but I'll also go out and say this. I think JUJU's been exposed a little bit. The only year that he's ever been elite, 111 catches over 1,400 yards, is when he had Antonio Brown. He doesn't have that anymore. Plus, I'll take Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, Chris Godwin, all over JUJU Smith Schuster, who are also some free agents. Now, hey, y'all, if you made it this far in the video, hit me up on Instagram. I'm at MitchellRents365. I'm going to be posting some stuff for the holidays. I can't wait to see my family, and hopefully y'all are having an awesome time with y'all's family. But hit me up on IG if you ever want to talk Raiders. I'm at MitchellRents365. Let's go to this next one, Dark Ninja. What's our draft situation looking like? How many picks for each round? So the Raiders right now have 7 picks, and they have 1 pick in each round. If you remember, the Raiders did lose a 6th-round pick because of all the COVID issues, if you will, whether you guys want to agree with it or not. It happened. That's the truth. So they have 7 picks. But this could change. They could get 8 picks. And the way that ends up happening is the Raiders have a decision to make. Do you keep Takk McKinley, or do you cut him? If you cut Takk, you get a conditional 5th-round pick. It's one of the biggest reasons why I was confused, why more NFL teams weren't interested in McKinley, whether or not he was able to pass a physical. But to be able to just bring in a guy who at the time would have made $875K, which is pretty reasonable, or a 5th-round pick, it's at least something to think about. So either you keep Takk or you get a 5th-rounder. So in terms of the picks, just keep that in mind. But what would y'all do? We haven't seen McKinley yet, and right now it's looking like he's going to be able to play Week 16 in his first action. However, it still does remain to be seen. But would you keep Takk, type T, or would you want the 5th-round pick? Go down in the comments and type 5 or type T. Last question here, Prod Introvert. Everyone knows about how poor the defense has played this year, but let's talk about some of these missed opportunities on offense and not executing in the red zone. Prod, you are 100% right, and I'm going to put a lot of this blame simply on Jon Gruden. He needs to be better. I mean, when I look at a lot of the play calls, especially let's go back to Thursday Night Football, right before halftime, the Raiders got super conservative. The Chargers then got the ball back quick. You knew the defense was going to stop them. They're up 17-10 at half. At the very, very end of the game in overtime, And I mean, you're first and goal at the 5-yard line. Why it's not 4 straight RPOs with Mariota, I don't know. But for you to be third and goal, line up out of the power I, then move Josh Jacobs to the right side of your offensive line, and then roll out to the right, realistically, for a play drawn up to your fullback, taking away half the side of the field, it makes no sense to me. Does John Gruden deserve a lot of blame and need to be better? Yes, absolutely. It's one of the reasons why, though, I'll keep saying this. Can you fire John Gruden? No, he's making $70 million, and that's guaranteed. But if you actually want to get an offensive coordinator, no offense to Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen doesn't do anything. He's John Gruden's puppet is honestly what it is. But if you want to bring in a younger OC to maybe give John some of these newer ideas, I am 100% on board for that. All right, y'all, I'm heading out. Hope everyone has an awesome, awesome holiday. And as a reminder, if you want a Raiders jersey like the one I'm wearing, if you want a Mariota one, go to chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Much love to y'all.